Hello and welcome. In this tutorial, we will use Azure Data Factory to create a pipeline that copies and transforms data from an Azure Data Lake Storage Gen2 as source to an ADLS Gen2 sink using mapping data flow. So we will be creating a pipeline with data flow activity, build a mapping data flow with 4 transformations, test run the pipeline and monitor a data flow activity. So let's get started. The first thing, go to Azure portal and create a storage account. Now go to new and let's create a new resource group as well. Let's give ADF Qt. Click on OK. Now let's give the name to our storage account. ADF Qt storage account. Go to advanced. Select enable hierarchical namespace. Now go to review and create. A few validation checks is in progress. And then we will be creating our storage account. Let's click on create. So inside this storage account we will be creating 2 containers. Let's give them name source and destination, and inside the source container will be our movies dp.csv file which we will use to perform some transformations, and the destination folder will be the one that we paste our data after transforming. So let's wait for our deployment to complete. Our deployment is now complete. This will give us the option go to resource. So let's go to containers and create 2 new containers. Source, create new container, destination, create. So let's go to source and upload our file. So I have selected movies.moviesdb.csv file. Now click on upload, and here you can see, let me show you the data as well. This is the data of our moviesdb.csv. It's a pretty big file. Now the next thing we want to do is create a data factory. So open Azure portal in a new tab and let's go to data factories. Click on create. Let's select our ADF Qt resource group. Let's give the name as ADF Qt data factory. It's not available, so you can give one and select the region as Central India. The version should be v2. Now click on review and create, and let's click on create. This will finally initialize our deployment and create our data factory. It will take a few seconds. So it's completed. Now let's go to resource and scroll down to see launch studio. This will launch our Azure Data Factory Studio. And so the first thing we need to do is create a pipeline that contains a data flow activity. So on the home page, click on orchestrate. This will open a new pane for a pipeline. Let's rename this. Let's give transform movies and close the properties pane. Next thing we want to do is go on to the activities pane, select move and transform, and drag this data flow activity onto the pipeline building area or the pipeline canvas. Now select or enable data flow debug and click on OK. Now select your data flow that you dragged and go to settings. Now let's add a new data flow, and here you can see it's an option to rename the data flow. Now let's give this a name as transform movies, and now click on properties to close the pane. In here, the data flow, we will be building a transform logic, and this is called a data flow canvas. So the first step is to build a flow that takes movies db.csv in the ADLS storage and aggregates the average rating of comedy movies from 1910 to 2000, and then we will write this file back to the ADLS. So in the data flow canvas, click on add source. Now let's rename our output stream name. Let's give it movies db, and now select source dataset and let's select new. This will be our ADLS2, so Azure Data Lake Storage Gen2. Click on continue, file type CSV, click on continue. Let's give the name, say movies DB. And now the next thing is to create a new linked service. So linked service will act as a connection between Azure Data Factory and our ADLS2 or ADLS Gen2. So let's give the name as ADLS Gen2. Now scroll down, select your subscription and select your storage account name, and let's test the connection. Connection was successful. Now click on create. So once we are back to the set properties page, now let's locate our file. Select the browse button. In the root folder we will be selecting the source data container. Let's wait for it. And let's select source, and also let's select our file moviesdb.csv. Click on OK and import schema from connection store. Now click on OK. The next thing, we want to create a source node on the data flow canvas. So let's click on this plus icon, and this will add a new transformation. So let's use filter, click on it, and so let's give the name as filter years, and also filter on. Let's click on it, and so data flow expression builder, as we can select, and this is our expression builder. So this lets us interactively build expressions and use various transformation. Expressions can include built-in functions, columns, the input schema, and user-defined parameters. So in this tutorial, we want to filter movies of genre comedy that came out between the years 1910 and 2000. As year is currently a string, you can see from the input schema. Don't worry if you cannot. Uh, so we need to use and convert it to integer. So using the toInteger function, and let me first write the entire expression, then I will explain it. So we will be using toInteger and then give year. Okay, let's delete this first. and here greater than equals to 1910, then and again to integer, then here inside again year, then less than equals to 2000, and again and the r like genre, and let's give the genre name as comedy. So this is the entire expression. So what this will do is filter movies between the year 1910 and 2000 and which have genre as comedy. So now let's also click refresh to get the data preview of our expression. Let's wait for it. And here you can see the movies. So the ones which are selected and which are not. So you can see this 1980 and comedy, and let's click on save and finish. And the next transformation we will add is an aggregate transformation. So let's click on plus again and search for aggregate, and let's rename our aggregate as aggregate comedy rating. Now in the group by we will select by year. So let me select year, and now go to the aggregates tab. Let me take it a little bit upwards, and in the aggregate tab let's go to column and select um, so in the column select by rating, and let's open expression builder. So we want rating converted to integer, so let's go to expression and type avg to get average, and then to integer, and not the three values, just we want to give rating, and let's delete these, and this is our expression. And now go to save and finish. Now let's go to data preview and click on refresh. This will give us the preview of our data according to our query. Let's wait for it. As you can see, there is currently no data. That means there is some issue with our query beforehand. So let's check. And here you can see it's R like genre and comedy movies. So instead of comedy movies, it should just be comedy. So let's change that, comedy. Now let's refresh to see our data preview. And here you can see it's fine. Now go to save. Now go to aggregate rating. Let's refresh again to get our updated transformation according to our needs. As you can see here, there are only two columns right now, rating and year. So next thing we want to do is create a sync or add a sync, and let's go to add, and on the last you will see sync. So the sync will be our Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2. So let's select dataset, create new Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, continue, CSV, yes, and let's create a new linked service. We do not want to create a new link service because we are pasting the data into the same storage account. So let's select the previously created link service and now give the path to our destination container. Let's wait for it. Let's give destination and okay. We can also give the file name if we want, but it's all right if we do not. Let's import schema none. Now click on OK, and we have finished creating our or building our data flow, and we are ready to run our pipeline. So let's go back to our pipeline. Here you can see our entire data flow is present and it's already updated. So what we can do is click on the blank canvas and click on debug. This will run our pipeline. So our debug pipeline run is present here. You can see the details as well. So as you can see, the source, then filter, then aggregate, then sync. Let's wait for it to complete its run. Let's refresh. And our pipeline run succeeded. Now let's go to back to author tab. And here you can see, let me refresh it here as well. Still under progress. Let's go to monitor pane and we can see not data flow debugs. Okay, our pipeline succeeded. Here you can see, let's open the details and let's see, you can see it's all present here. So to get the details about any one of the transformation, we can click on it. You can see how much time it took and everything, like two columns added and updated two, dropped four. So what all it did. Now let's check if our data is present in the source destination container. You can see here, you can see there is success. This will just show that our uh, pipeline ran successfully. Now let's go to the part and let's show you edit. Here you can see the year and rating. These are the only two columns we wanted. So if you have followed this tutorial to the point, you will have written 83 rows and 2 columns into your sync folder. Let me show you. So there is 84 because the first one is named year and rating. So there are total of 83 rows. That is all for this tutorial. Thank you.